Yo, 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 yo. What is going on, everybody? Hope everyone's doing okay. All right. GG swings. Mayne inspires me to be the best. That's awesome, bro. Okay. What's up? What's up? All right, so I hope this time of day is better for some of you. I'm always getting comments from the Euro crowd and the Aussie crowd, etc., that earlier in the day is better. So hopefully more of you are able to tune in here. Yeah, did a great stream yesterday with Altcoin Psycho, so that was a lot of fun. We'll definitely do some of those again in the future now that he's doing that. But yeah, we're gonna have a good little video here. I'm going to be focusing on my plans for Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically this week. Maybe we'll cover some altcoins. We can review my Tesla trade that I posted. That's absolutely crushing. There's lots of stuff to look at. I do think that we have a big next week or two going into the first week of May coming up here. Just a lot of key levels that we're approaching and that we're close to. We're coming up to a monthly end as well. So hopefully we get some fireworks, whether that be another leg to the downside or a reversal. But looking to get into some nice trades. So let's give a quick shout out to the sponsors of these streams, Prime XBT. If you're interested in supporting me, supporting the channel, best way to do that is to use my Prime XBT affiliate link. Excuse me. In the description of this video, then input code Mayne50 in the promo code section. And then if you deposit money, you're eligible for a 7% deposit bonus up to a deposit of 100,000, which would be a bonus of 7,000. So thank you so much for Prime for continuing to support me in the channel and me putting out these videos for you guys. So as you guys saw on Twitter, definitely having a nightmarish, hellish experience with Razer. You guys have heard me complain about this laptop for months now, and it's still not fixed. I still do not have it. It took 3 months for them to mail me a box in which I would mail them the laptop in. Because they mailed a box to me and then I moved. And so before I put it in the box, because there's one of those prepaid boxes that has the prepaid, postage. I'm like, hey, I'm moving. So I'm going to mail this back to you, but I want you to return it to a different address. And for some reason, they said, we can't do that. We need to send you a new box to your new address. I'm like, that seems stupid, but sure. That new box didn't show up for 3 months. It was like 40 or 50 phone calls of me being like, where's the box? And them being like, we've sent it. And then they call me the next day. Have you received it? I'm like, no. I call back, where's the box? And they go, oh, we'll send one out tomorrow. Like, it's been ridiculous. And I've tweeted about it a handful of times too. But yeah, an absolute nightmare experience. I finally get the box. This is now a month ago. I mail it to them. I track it. It arrives, I don't hear anything. I'm like, this is a $5,000 computer. You think that they would maybe be like, hey, we've received the laptop and here's what's wrong with it, or email me or anything. Nothing. So I finally called a week ago. I'm like, hey, what is going on? You guys have had the laptop for a month. Can I get it back? Or have you fixed it? What's going on? And they're like, oh, the repair has been approved. And yeah, been a runaround all week. We'll call you tomorrow with the shipping. No call. And like to this point where I made another tweet, and every time I tweet, their support team reaches out to me. And then they send me a fucking email being like, hey, do we need to send you the box? I'm like, no, you guys have the laptop. Anyways, I'll quit bitching, but never buy a fucking Razer product. They are fucking shit and their customer service is awful. Okay, so let's talk about the charts. So we were bearish up here, right? We shorted, or I did. I don't know what you guys did, but I got some shorts up here. I took that short on Solana. I took a short on Bitcoin. So this part has gone pretty well for us, or for me at least, and for what I've been sharing with you guys, hopefully. And, you know, we were into this high time frame resistance level, right? We're into this weekly bearish order block here. Traded up into it. And then last week's candle, right, that closed yesterday was a bearish engulfing candle on the weekly. So that doesn't look very good in my opinion. I don't know the stats. I don't have them. I couldn't tell you, but oftentimes an engulfing candle on a high time frame like this, bearish engulfing, big sell-off, right? Bearish engulfing, big sell-off. It's not going to be every time, right? And it works the other way as well, right? When you have a down move that gets engulfed, you usually get a huge move in the other direction, right? Down move, engulfing. Same thing here, like this, right? Down move, completely engulfed. Down move, completely engulfed, went higher. Again, not enough to make a trade on, but something to watch, right? Something to maybe strengthen that bias you have. So, speak French. Je parle un peu de français. Bonjour, le Discord de Feyron. Il parlait de quel marqué est invité. My French is not good enough for you to be commenting in French, brother. So we're in a resistance here, and we've got a big bearish reaction. So that tells me that this area I had marked is relevant. I know a lot of people were calling for 40K, calling for whatever levels, right? Higher prices, some people aiming to these lows, whatever it may be. I don't really care. I had this marked for ages. I'm like, this is a weekly bearish order block. This is like 101, super basic stuff here. So this is an area where I will look for potential signs of weakness. You go down to the H12 and we had a very basic over-under trade, right? There's your high, higher high, break in market structure, lower high, right? That's kind of trader Mayne 101 type of setup. So this is no different than NSFP. It works the exact same, right? Like a lot of people get stuck on the definitions of things, right? Like an SFP has to, have the wick below and then the close above. But in reality, on one time frame, an SFP, right? Like this looks like a deviation, right? Or a failed breakout on this time frame. But on a certain time frame, it's going to be an SFP, or it's going to be a run or a wick above a high, right? There you go. On the daily, it's an SFP. Excuse me. Right? The daily, it's an SFP. On the 12-hour, it broke through, but then it went right back below. So I think a lot of people get tripped up because they say, oh, well, it wasn't an SFP, right? It closed through. But for me, it's not the pattern, it's the context, right? We're into resistance. We make a high. We make a higher high, and then we trade right back below that first high. To me, that's a sign of weakness. That's a failed breakout. In SFP, even though it's only a wick, right, and then back below, right, that is your SFP, it's the same thing. On one time frame, a low enough time frame, this SFP is going to look like this. Just like how on here, the daily's an SFP and the 12-hour is not. So the more you study this kind of stuff, and the more you fool around with it and get experience with it, the easier it will be for you to see. Okay, but that was where I got my bearish bias, right? The weekly bearish order block, and then this structure here. We had the failure to go higher and the break in market structure on the H12, and I was shorting in this pullback. So where are we now, right? We've made a large down leg on the 12-hour. So based on the 12-hour chart, the market structure I'm looking at is from this high down to this low. This is my 12-hour range that I'm looking to operate in. As you guys know, I like to sell at the premium of a range. I like to buy at the discount of the range. And I usually want to operate in the extremes of that range. Weekly bearish order block, bearish order block, 12-hour bearish range, bearish market structure. I'm looking to fade a bounce. So that is my bias, my draw on liquidity. Where do I think price goes next? I think we have this low here. And then I think we have this high time frame order block, which is that weekly breaker that I have had marked for ages down here. So that's ultimately where I think price is likely to go in the future. So what I'm doing is I'm starting to break down, right, my bias, my directional, draw on liquidity. What direction do I think price is going to go? And as you get those things together, those pieces of the puzzle, and you start putting them together, then you can start formulating trade ideas with that stuff in mind. Being like, I want a long or I want a short, your probability of getting those trades right will be way higher if you start on the high time frame and start to figure out, okay, am I bullish or bearish and why? What is the next likely direction I think price is going to go and why? Now, once you have those top pieces done, the pieces that come underneath, they make more sense. So if I think that I want to fade a bounce because I ultimately think we are trading down to here, okay? Doesn't mean I just want to short right now, right? Because where am I wrong? All that shit, right? But I think ultimately we trade down to here. We have this 12-hour range. So I'm going to be looking for a bounce into this range to then potentially short lower. Simple as that, right? So again, I'm trying to determine the next couple candles direction. I'm not trying to predict 50 moves in advance. I always say this, right? So you could argue that, hey, if I think we're going to retrace in this range, maybe there is a long trade from here to here. Okay, but remember, this long trade is counter the high time frame trend. So the long would be like longing this before another potential down leg. The high probability trade is whenever this bounce ends and price gets bearish again, that's the short you want to get in because that lines up with your high time frame bias. So if you can line up with your high time frame bias, high time frame draw on liquidity, the trades you take on the low time frame are going to work out more often, okay? So I'm looking for reasons to be bearish on any sort of bounce in here. Yes, you could long based on the structure that might be forming down here, right? We had our 12-hour low. Looks like we're going to close as we bearish SFP'd here, bullish SFP'd here. Go down to the hourly. Okay, we've got a H1 SFP here. Maybe there's a long and we trade up and run some of these highs. You can absolutely, if it plays out, look to take a long here, right? But keep in mind, my high time frame bias is still down. So as we trade higher, I want to be looking for any signs that this bounce may be over, and then that's going to be the short I want to get into, okay? So where could this bounce end, right? Where are the potential areas of resistance, and what do I want to see? The first potential area is this kind of move right here. I had a few people asking me in Discord, hey, is this a breaker? I think you could say it's a breaker if you want to. Personally, this is more like just a SR flip, right? Like, again, just like the SFP thing, I think a lot of people get caught up on the terminology more than just actually going in there and marking out your charts and seeing what the fuck's actually happening in price. Because we have a very clear order block here that caused this move to the upside, and we're now trading below it. So order blocks, at least for me, they can very much work like SR, right? If you don't get the bounce, you can look to sell the underside. And that's not something ICT maybe specifically teaches, but something that I notice. But my response to this person is they're like, well, is this a breaker or not? Like, I need to know. Is this a breaker or is this not a breaker? I said, why does it matter? If you think it's resistance, why don't you mark it on your chart and then see what happens when price gets there? It's that simple, right? So if we're looking for areas where this bounce might stop and price might make another leg down, I want to mark out all of the relevant potential resistance areas. So to me, sure, we can mark this out. I like this fair value gap. That's where my initial target was. And then obviously we have the order block. And you're going to say, oh my God, Mayne, look how big that order block is and what, there's 3 different zones. How do I know which one to short? If you guys have followed me long enough and you pay attention to the things I share, I'm not just shorting any of these levels. This is my high time frame analysis. Remember, this means I want to look for reasons for potential rejection here. I want to look for reasons for potential rejection here. I want to look for reasons of potential rejection here. It does not mean we will reject here. We could trade up to this one and then sell off. We could trade through both of these, then this one and sell off. We could literally just go up from here, okay? But based on my high time frame analysis, I think the most likely draw is lower, okay? So I'm looking to sell the retracement here, and I don't know how high that retracement is going to go. But I'm going to look and monitor price action as it comes into these levels and go look on the lower time frame for clues that maybe they are syncing up again. So those are the areas that you want to watch. We tested this one already, put in an H12 SFP, right? And a bearish break in market structure to the downside here. We ran above this high into resistance and we broke market structure. So that's already your first kind of sign of, hey, this might be where it reverses right here. But the reason I don't love this right now, like if you're short here, I would at least have de-risked some, right, when we swept this low and got this reaction. Because to me, just like this run above this high negated kind of any sort of buy down here, or this is a good TP signal. Same thing in the reverse. If you're short this and we sweep this low, there's a chance that, hey, maybe we're just going to bounce to here and then we're going to go down again. But there is a chance that, hey, that's all the reaction you're getting and we're now going to trade higher. So there's a little bit of conflicting signals there, a little bit hard to determine. I think that if you shorted this setup here, right, this H1 sweep setup, I think if we get an hourly close through here, right, that idea is invalidated. And I actually think if we get an hourly close through here, you could argue that that's a long, right, for here and maybe up to here. I don't know. Because that would be a H12 sweep, H1 sweep, breaking market structure, the whole shebang. So a little bit tricky for sure. But I ideally, right, if I think price is going to trade lower, after a big sell-off like this, the bigger the bounce, the better. Because if we're ultimately going to trade down to here, I would sure like to short a bounce up to here more so than just this, right? Either or is possible. This could be it, or we could bounce up to here and then puke, right? The end direction is the same, but how high and how good is my entry going to be is the question. How high is this bounce going to go? And then can I find myself a trade to then ride that next leg down? So I'm watching these zones that I've marked here, and I'm waiting to see how price develops on the low time frame at those areas of interest. So here's our 12-hour range. I want to see where the hourly chart is over the next 24 hours. Because if it's weak, we're just going to roll over. Great. But if there's some strength here on the hourly, I'm going to then wait for the hourly to give me a clue that it's flipping back to bearish. And then that's when I want to get short all the way to that 25K target. So again, it's all about that top-down analysis, okay? Determining your bias, high time frame draw and liquidity. That frames everything that you do on the lower time frame. Okay, does that rant make sense to everyone? So in terms of what I'm expecting next, I'm watching. I want to see how this daily candle closes. If we close as a 12-hour SFP here, we've now rinsed both sides of this range. So I'm just going to have to see more price. But I'm watching how this candle closes. And then if this is able to break out, I think you could justify a long for a bounce. But ultimately, wherever this bounce may go, I don't know. I'm looking to short any sign of weakness on the bounce. Okay, so that's the plan. We hate Razer. Yeah, we do, Cause. You're welcome, Quick Streak. A well-dressed ape. I like that name. Long BTC on the sweep. There you go. You could be long right now. Great to have you at the Haven. Thanks, buddy. What's up, Mez? What up, Tudong? Bring back emoji. Bro, it's such a mixed bag. Some people want the emojis back. Some people don't. I don't know. It's a tough call. What's up, Stoner Veli? You probably had a good 420. Paducci Jr. What's up, bro? Flux T. Next season. Mayne Top G. Well, I mean, we got the same haircut. That's funny. What up, Blue Note from Germany? Cold beer. Thank you, bro. Okay, a bunch of guys from the homie Fayron's Discord speaking to me in French. Bro, it's the box in this room for me right now. Dude, this has been my nightmare for... It's 4 months. Like, I bought the laptop specifically so when I go out of town, because you guys know I travel a lot, I could stream. That was the only reason I bought it, because I have a great PC at home. I just wanted to be able to stream and produce some content while I was away. I've always gotten MacBooks, but now that I'm on a PC at home, I figured, hey, maybe I'll get a PC. Yeah, I don't know. I got rugged. Got rugged hard. 4 months. Sometimes you're in bed, right? And it's early and you're like, I want to look at the charts and potentially do something, but I don't want to get out of bed and go sit at my desk yet. So you got the laptop. So I need it for. Do you think next cycle Canadians will be forced to VPN to DEXs to have easy leverage exposure? Next cycle, that's happening now. It's happening now. All the major exchanges are in the process of booting Canadians off the platform. Trader ZS1. Laptop costs $6K. Maybe you should get a new laptop for twice the money. Just big dick them. Is that what I should do? Le Gris is king of Fey Discord. What is Le Gris? I don't know what that fucking means. Patrick Miller, good question. Does an order block override the move back to the premium of the range? For instance, why do you not long back up to the top of the range, at least to the midpoint for a hedge perhaps? That's exactly what I'm saying could happen. If this is our range, I would like to short up here in premium. So yeah, you can absolutely take a long into that potential short, right? But you have to keep in mind, right? This is what is important. You got to remember that this trade that may play out is counter trend. It's against the high time frame trend because you're entering a long based on like the hourly, but you're expecting lower on the 12-hour, the daily, the weekly, etc. So you have to keep that in mind that any sign of bearishness, get the fuck out, right? Au minsten met jamais de SL. Again, do not know what that means. How to get better execution on lower time frames. How to get better entries. I'm not Chat GPT. What kind of wording for a question is that? How to be better trader. Google. Like, what are you talking about, David? Come on, dog. How do you get better? Practice, bro. Practice, 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 practice. You cannot pick up a guitar one time and expect to be able to rip, some Led Zeppelin solo. You got to put the reps in. You got to build that muscle memory in your fingers. It's the same thing in trading. You're building pattern recognition. You're building, links in your brain between certain things and the way that you view things. It's a muscle. The mind is a muscle, right? Very much in the same way. How do you get better at golf? How do you get better at anything? Practice, bro. Practice, practice, practice. But before you start practicing, have an idea of what you're trying to practice. Figure out your general idea of what are you trying to do. Are you trying to learn how to do RSI, overbought, oversold, and other, divergence indicators? Are you trying to trade some Ichimoku cloud? Are you trying to trade price action? Figure out what you're doing and then go get in the charts and actually get the reps in, right? Where did Jane go? I don't know. I haven't seen Jane in a while. Mayne, is the ES in the 12-hour breaker? Where would you put your stop loss? In the ES, the 12-hour bullish breaker, I assume? I'm not sure what break you're referring to. This one? I don't know. Okay, let's see here. My trading strategy is based on price action. Okay, so I think the Bitcoin plan is pretty straightforward, guys, right? Like, I'm looking for lower. I think we trade down here. The question is this it? Like, was this the bounce? And we're going to just eat shit? Or are we going to bounce harder up towards maybe some of these highs here? I don't know. And then nuke it. But I'm ultimately looking for this price leg to get retraced into and then sold up and then try and short that next continuation leg. I just don't know how big this retracement's going to be, and that's what we're looking for, right? So you go do our Monday's range here. It's not confirmed yet. It won't be confirmed until the candles close, right? But when Monday's, like, this is going to be Monday's range. I very much doubt that in the next hour and a half we go lower than here or higher than here. Maybe. But for now, this is the tentative Monday's range. Well, based on the fact that we ran these lows here, okay, and ran these highs here, you now have, this effective range is the same as Monday's range already, right? From this low to this high, it's basically the same range. So what I would be looking for potentially using Monday's range, if I think, hey, we're going to bounce a little higher and I would like to get into a short higher, I would probably look for a move above Monday's high and then a break back down into Monday's range, right? Maybe that's how this ends up playing out. Oops. If we come below Monday's low again and reclaim it, you guys know what to do. That's your long, right? Stop below that low, target back into Monday's high. So I think using Monday's range based on just where we are in price, especially with, relative to this 12-hour swing, I think Monday's range will work really well. If we trade above it early this week and then break back below, in my opinion, very good chance the high of the week is in. If we trade below Monday's range later today or tomorrow and then reclaim it, then there's a good chance that we are going to trade higher for the rest of the week, and I'll be looking for my short to occur higher, right? So if the bounce is shallow, it's either going to roll from here or maybe we run Monday's high and then it rolls. If the bounce is going to be strong, maybe we run Monday's low first, but regardless, I'd be looking up to that 12-hour bearish order block then above 29K for my potential shorts. But I don't know, just looking at how aggressive this sell-off was here, I would like to think that some of these highs here get ripped, right? And then maybe we get the big leg down. And again, drawing 5 moves in advance, it's meaningless, right? All I care about is what is the next most likely direction going to be? And I think once this range confirms, I will be watching on the low time frame, right? I'm going to have an alert here. I'll have an alert at this high, and I'll probably have an alert here. And I will be waiting to see what happens to price, which of these levels it tags, and then I will start formulating my plan on how I would get involved in a trade. Because I think if we break this H1 high, I think there's a good chance, that we squeeze above Monday's high for sure, but, potentially higher into the mid to low 28,000s. So that's what I'm going to be watching. 3 alerts set at Monday's high, Monday's low, and at this H1 high. I'll set those 3 alerts, and then I will wait patiently. That's one of the hardest parts of trading. It's not drawing the lines or any of that bullshit. It's literally the waiting game. Like, I understand you want to be in a trade. Some people shorted this. Some people long this, right? Like, people are in trades. They're going to post about them on Discord. They're going to post about them on Twitter, right? And you're going to have to deal with that. If you don't have a setup yet based on your system and your rules, don't force it, right? Like, don't force it. Just wait patiently. You want to dictate how and where you enter trades. You do not want the market to dictate to you or other people to dictate to you. You decide when you play. I want to do business at my levels when price action lines up how I want it to, at the time frame that I want it to happen. I want to be in as much control as possible. Obviously, the market's going to do what it's going to do, but you're not going to do yourself any favors trying to force trades because you see someone else is in a trade and you're like, oh, fuck, it might go up and they long, then I'm not long, right? But you got to remember, they might have longed down here. You're longing now, you're late to the party, right? You make the rules, you mark your levels of interest, and then you wait until price gets to those areas, and then you know what you're looking for, right? You're looking for those low time frame triggers, and then you get yourself in the trade. Otherwise, what are you doing other than just kind of gambling and rambly doing shit? You got to have some sort of systematic process that you follow. And one of the things I look at is Monday's high and Monday's low. I use Monday's range. So if I want to find a trade either above Monday's high and back in, or below Monday's low and back in, what do I do in between there? Nothing, right? And that's hard for a lot of people. Doing nothing is very hard. Okay, so let's talk about Ethereum here. So Ethereum arguably, kind of looks uglier than Bitcoin. We had this brief period of time here where FBTC went up, right? This is 1, 2, 3 weeks of bullish FBTC. Ethereum kind of led the charge on this last leg. Like, we had Bitcoin break out and then kind of stall. And then we had Ethereum put in that big candle. Guess when that has happened before? Bitcoin went to 60K, then it kind of stalled out. Ethereum went from 1,800 to almost $5,000, and then everything fucking died. So when Bitcoin was stalling out around 60, Ethereum did this. Kind of like Bitcoin stalling out around 30, and Ethereum did its big leg. I'm not saying that the end result's going to be the same, but something to keep in mind. Now, looking at Ethereum, what I don't like is this is effectively looking like we ran above this high, August high here, and bearish engulf basically closed right back below. Looks like a failed breakout. Bitcoin, when it went to August high, which is here, what happened? It rejected initially and then closed through it strong, right? Then what was the next candle? Kind of an indecision candle, but then further up. Whereas Ethereum basically did Hold on. I'm going to lose all my levels if I draw what I want to fucking draw. I hate trading view sometimes. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. So Ethereum, imagine these candles don't exist yet. Right? This is your August high. So Ethereum's next candle was a big red candle right back below August high, right? So if Bitcoin did that, we would have a lot less confidence in this going much higher. And that's effectively what Ethereum did. So I think Ethereum looks a little bit worse than Bitcoin. I think this is quite ugly in terms of, breaking a key significant high, right? This big long range. We closed above it to close right back below in the next candle, looking like this. Not ideal. That being said, the weekly chart has a higher high and a higher low here. And so does Bitcoin, right? Like on the weekly chart, you have a low and a higher high, right? So the weekly chart technically still bullish. Structure is not lost on the weekly yet. Does that mean that we just buy? Obviously not. It means that, hey, we're still bullish on the weekly. So a long could absolutely form down here, and then we could trade higher. If we see some 12-hour bullish market structure here, then yeah, maybe that was the low, right? But time frames build upon each other. And what I mean by that is if the weekly is making a higher high and a higher low, so the weekly chart is like this, right? And then here, and we're retracing, maybe this becomes a higher low, right? But even though the weekly is a higher low here still, the 12-hour could be in a bearish downtrend already. And eventually that low is going to get snapped. And it's going to look bullish on the weekly all the way until it doesn't. But the low time frames are going to shift first, right? So a downtrend, it can be kind of tricky, right? But in a downtrend, or in an uptrend, excuse me, these down legs, right, are going to be downtrends on the low time frame. So if this is the weekly, this down leg is like this on the 12-hour, right? And then you want to see this 12-hour flip to bullish, and that's the higher low, right? That's the premise of my system. But sometimes this pullback, right, is a higher time frame change in market structure. And you're not going to see that on the high time frame right away. It's going to take longer to play out. So we have to keep in mind, just because the weekly is technically making a higher high and a higher low here, doesn't mean that we can't close below here and all of a sudden make a lower low. It's the same thing I was talking about on the hourly, how we want to watch the hourly and see if something bullish happens. Same thing here. I want to be watching the 12-hour on both Bitcoin and Ethereum and see if we do end up making some bullish 12-hour price action, right? So on Ethereum, this is our bullish weekly range, right? But our 12-hour range, in my opinion, is here to here, and it's a bearish leg. So just like on Bitcoin, I'm looking for some sort of bounce in here to maybe then sell down into here. Just like Bitcoin. How high this bounce is going to go, I do not know yet. Same as Bitcoin, I'm going to be looking for areas where price might reject. So we're about to close the daily candle in a little over an hour here. If it closes like this, it's a bullish SFP. Maybe we trade up here. But if we trade up here and then on the hourly, I get weakness, that's where I want to take the short. Okay, and then target 1 would be here, and then target 2 would be down here. So that's really what I'm watching for this week. Is I want to see if Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to bounce. How high do they bounce? But I'm personally looking for a pullback. My dream scenario is that both of these flush lower, like to here, and then we get another big rip and we make new highs and the party isn't over. The party don't stop. If this is the top of this bear market rally, that's a bit of a bummer. Like it's been a great rip. Like this is what, almost 80%, almost 100% off the bottom. So that is a killer bear market rally, right? Like how big was this one? 50%. You go back to the 2017 bull market, there was a couple, I don't know if there's multiple 100% rallies. Let's see. This one was 100%. No? Oh yeah, it was from here. Yeah, that's a 100% rally. This one was 50%. This one was 40%. So this could be it. This is definitely a huge rally, but I would much rather this not be just, done. I'd much rather some sort of pullback and then another leg higher. Right? So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. A little bit lower on the pullback, then another leg higher. I want to buy closer to 20,000 than I do towards 30,000 if price is going to remain bullish. I think you have a pretty clear bias level on Bitcoin, which is like, right here, right? As long as we're trading below here, we're probably going to trade lower. Back into this. We've basically had an entire month of up with no real pullback, and the entirety of 2023 so far, outside of this dip here, has been up only, right? And even this dip, insta retraced. So you're kind of looking at it and you're like, and you're trying to say, okay, if this is my clear bias level, as long as we're below here, high time frame, I think there's a good chance we trade back into here. If we start trading back above here, I think you can get optimistic, bullish. If we make a new high, right? If we start trading above here, I think the next move is 35, 40,000, right? So there's a lot of upside if we do make a new high, but the risk reward right now, in my opinion, is towards the downside. I could be wrong, obviously, but I think that you have a pretty clear level for your bias here around 28,800, 29,000, and you want to see where these next couple high time frame candles close. I'm talking daily candles, weekly candles relative to this level, because if we stay below here, this looks a whole lot like a fake out, and then the question is where does the dip end, right? So I don't have much more to say on Bitcoin. Ethereum, I think, is very straightforward. I want to see how this candle closes. I want to see how price reacts if we get a bounce. And then on both Bitcoin and Ethereum, I want to see what happens at this old weekly low. So here's our weekly range. Do we run this low into here and close back above? Do we have a major structure break on the weekly? Because then that could get very ugly. If we have major high time frame closes, I know this is far away, but if we do this and then sweep, everyone's stoked. But if we do this and then start getting some closes below here, that's a weekly low that we're losing structure on and likely leads to a much larger sell-off. So basically, looking for a bounce early this week into shorts. As simple as I can make it. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum, looking for a bounce into shorts. Watching on the low time frame for price to get bearish. And if I get those triggers, I will hop in. I don't know how high price is going to go before I get those signals. This is already a bearish trigger. Like shorting this setup here, completely valid in my books. I do think that this SFP would be a good reason to potentially be cautious or de-risk because maybe it wants to make one more stab higher. I would have liked to have seen this close through this low as opposed to SFP it. I know on some exchanges it did close through the low. But again, the instant buyback, I don't love if you're a short. Like if you're short already, I don't love how this current 12-hour candle looks if you're short already. So I'd be watching hourly market structure. Do we make a higher high next? Right? or do we make a lower low next? What is this? Monday's range. And then start making my decisions based on that. Same thing with Ethereum. Looks like we're going to close, as an SFP on the H12. If we make a higher high above here, probably get a decent bounce, and then maybe we show weakness here. Maybe we trade higher. I don't know. But I could absolutely justify, if we get a nice close above like that, I could justify probably a long up into here, right? But need to see a close, because if we don't get a close above this high, then there's a good chance that this was the bounce, right? This little move was the bounce. This little move was the bounce. So I'm hoping for higher. I would like to see a deeper retracement into this leg for me to get short. Same thing with Ethereum. I'd like to see a deeper retracement into this price leg for me to get short, but I am prepared that it could be nuked from here, right? We absolutely could. We've put in a sweep here. If we get a break below here, that's it, right? This is the lower high. So that's all I'm trying to do, right? If I'm in a downtrend, I'm trying to catch the lower high for continuation. If I'm in an uptrend, I'm trying to catch the higher low for continuation. And the hard part about it is determining how high this retracement goes, how low this retracement goes. But the stuff that I'm sharing is how the things I look for, right? I set alerts at levels. I'm monitoring PA on the low time frame, yada, yada, yada. If we don't get the bounce and we just roll over from here, how are you going to trade it? I might not get into a trade, right? If we do not bounce, I might not get into a trade. I personally shorted this setup here that I showed you yesterday or last night. Break a market structure, the sweep, I shorted. But when we had this run of the low, I decided to collapse the trade. I just didn't like how it looks. Maybe we reject again from here and I'll look for another opportunity to short, right? So let's say we don't get the big bounce. Well, if we come and run this high and then sell below, great, I'll get out. Maybe we don't. Maybe we just start rolling over right now. Well, then I'm going to be looking for some sort of retracement on the low time frame to then get short. Be nimble, right? Like a lot of people get messed up because they say price has to come here for me to short. Well, what happens if it doesn't, right? Have a plan to get in if it doesn't. And so if we start breaking down, then absolutely, I will accept bearish price action on the low time frame and try and find a short entry. Be like water, right? Be like water. If price starts getting bearish, then don't be afraid to try and short a bearish order block or a bearish SFP because your high time frame context is bearish. Right? I'm greedy. I just want a better entry, but I do not have to get it. The market owes me nothing. It could absolutely shit from here. But anytime we have a range where we've SFP'd both sides, like kind of right in quick succession from each other, ran the high on the last 12-hour candle. Now we ran the low on the next 12-hour candle. I got to just see more, right? If we just ran this high and this candle closed down here, right, and didn't run this low or it closed below this low, I'd have a whole lot more confident in that being the top. But the fact that we've washed both sides, it's a little bit of uncertainty for me. So I'm going to make my decision based on what I see unfold over the next little while here. Chainlink only went up 50%. What the fuck? And his name is Link Marines. Yeah, bro, it's almost like you shouldn't long old shitty coins from previous cycles that have a ton of bag holders who bought way higher and are looking for any chance they can get to sell. Maybe you should focus on longing the new shiny toys. Those usually do a whole lot better. This guy says, "Hey, Steven, how are you doing? Who are you talking to?" Harrison, watching this in 1.5 0.5x, try and catch up. The first 15 minutes is fire info. It's all fire info. Every minute. Every single minute. Exactly. Like ARB. He says, I'm talking to you, Steven. This guy thinks he's funny trying to dox me, but he doesn't actually know my name because my name is not Steven. Nice one, though. Nice try. What about Fib? Is that a coin, or are you asking about the Fib tool? Tefsa says, thanks for all your concept. You're welcome, bro. Burkant Farah has copied and pasted this comment 3 times, so I will respond. What was the one concept you learned / experience that changed your win rate the most? I would say the implementation of a proper risk management system, because you can know how to mark up the chart. You can know where to enter, why you're entering, all that stuff. But if you do not stick to your risk management, you will get fucked. You will blow your account. You will get liquidated. So if you're trading too big of size for how big your account is, your stops are not in the right place. They're going where it gives you a good RR versus where your trade idea is actually wrong. Having minimum requirements for your risk management system. I'm not willing to risk 2% if my potential upside is in at least 4% or 6%, right? 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. So I think that was probably one of the biggest light bulb moments, for lack of a better term, for my system. Was I was consistent with my risk management. It didn't make me win more trades, but it made sure that when I lost exactly how much I wanted to lose. And when I won more than I lost. Not maybe more often, but the wins were bigger than the losses. That's probably my answer for that question. Wait, I am not Steve Buscemi. You son of a bitch. How come I only get celebrity doppelgangers of ugly people? Steve Buscemi. Someone told me I look like Pete Davidson. Someone told me I look like, obviously a lot of people think I look like Logic when I put my glasses on. Why not someone handsome? Why is it always uggos? Do you ever think you will stop trading? I'm trying everything in my power to stop trading as soon as possible. I had a very good chat with this around this with Psycho yesterday. Like, trading full time is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's just a way to make money and potentially make a lot of money quickly. But then I want to use that money and get into real estate, businesses, other ways where I can get cash flow, content creation, things like that. I want to have cash coming in as many directions as possible, right? Like, imagine I'm not going to say that, actually. That was hilarious but disgusting analogy. But I think cash flow is going to be king here in the future. You want to have multiple income streams. You don't want to be reliant on trading to live. You want to have those monthly expenses covered, and then you're trading for additional income, which you can then use to buy other shit. That's what I think is the best thing to do. That's how you get really rich. It's not just purely trading. It's turning that money that you've made trading into other avenues to make money and things like that. Get into angel investing, things like that, consulting, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't want to be some, chart ape full time. I barely am now. I still trade, every day. Every week I take a few trades, but I'm no longer in my sweaty at the computer for 12 hours a day, constantly on my phone, trading view alerts every fucking waking hour of the night, waking me up and like sweating. Like, I don't really do that anymore. I also, partly because I don't think it's the time for that, right? I think when it's on easy mode and the market's going, this was easy mode. For the first 3 months of the year, absolutely. Be a degenerate and never get off the screen here. This was easy mode. I traveled a bunch during this. It was shitty, right? But when it's not in easy mode, don't get all sweaty like that. But yeah, I would love to stop trading. I would love to do other stuff, with my life. See, Jay gets it, bro. I look like Brad Pitt. Thank you, bro. I know I don't, but I appreciate it anyways. Why does every trader slowly switch from high time frame trading? For exactly what I described, right? For your sanity. It's way more chill. Look at how Don Alt trades. He's trading on like the monthly, right? You don't need to pay attention as much. Obviously, when you trade lower time frame, you're going to have more potential signals, right? More opportunities to potentially make money. So especially when you're starting out, it probably makes more sense to trade on the lower time frames. But yeah, once you have money and you can swing trade and you make enough off of one, big win that you don't need to be in the charts all day, that's life. I'm in the markets so I can have more free time and freedom to do the things I want. I'm not doing this so I have to be glued to the screen 24/7. And I'm, why have this as a job then, right? I'm in it because I think I can make more money than in a regular job, and then use that money to do other things, provide myself more freedoms, right? If you're in this and you're like, if you're at your computer 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, is that better than a regular job? Like maybe you're making a little bit more money than a regular job, but that sounds way more stressful and awful and unhealthy. But yeah, I definitely plan on retiring at some point. And like getting off of Twitter and getting off of YouTube and just fucking chilling, man. Eventually. Okay, so we got 1 hour until the daily close. We'll see if these sweeps get cemented here. FBTC, I don't know. Doesn't look amazing, right? Like, is this distribution? Kind of looks like it, right? You have your high here. You have your low that made the high, break in market structure, bearish retest, and it's selling off. So we're still in this big range on FBTC, but I don't know if this looks good or not. It's hard to say. Dollar, we had this 12-hour range, right? Marked out the breaker. We came up. We're rejecting. So dollar looks like it wants to trade lower. So if dollar is going to make another leg down towards 99, where do I get 99 from? I think it's from the weekly. Yeah, this weekly bullish order block. That seems like the next draw if this is going to continue to sell off. So if that's the case, crypto and stocks should go up, right? They should go up. So what I'm hoping happens is I'm hoping that this puts in a higher low here and we trade up. Then we could see Bitcoin trade down to maybe 25K or lower. And then this nukes to $99 and then Bitcoin goes up to 35K. That's like my dream scenario, but I have no idea if that's going to happen. And me hoping that that happens is not, a trading strategy. Hope is not a strategy. Need to just pay attention to the information presented to me and make my decisions based on that. Right now, the dollar looks weak, right? So right now, this looks like the next area to go for the dollar. So that would be confluent with Bitcoin potentially going up and risk potentially going up. But right now, you're seeing kind of one of those times where the correlation isn't really there quite yet, right? Like the dollar is selling off. We had a bit of an up day on equities, bit of an up day on crypto, but not really huge, right? Like everything still kind of looks meh. So we want to see what the decision. I do think that this is going to be very important next couple days here because if the dollar starts to rally and we trade above here, I think there's a very real possibility that it trades to 105, which would be bearish for risk in crypto. Maybe we sweep this low and then we bounce, but I'm keeping a very close eye on the dollar for the next few days to see if it gets bullish at all. Because if it continues to be bearish, I don't want to be sitting here waiting to buy Bitcoin at 25K because it might not come, right? Because if the dollar just continues to sell off, this will go back up. Excuse me. Okay, let's look at gold here. see. Did we? Yeah, so gold, I think is, you know, still very much bullish. But we have this kind of weekly SFP here. On the 12-hour, it kind of looks like, you know, potential over-under playing out. So definitely something to watch. But I'm still big-time bullish on metals overall. I think that if we get lucky enough to get some sort of deep retracement on the weekly chart here, maybe it's only to here. Maybe it's just below some of these lows. I don't know. But I still ultimately think gold makes, you know, a new all-time high. We have these relatively equal highs here. Actually, I'm going to draw their own. Right? We have these kind of equal highs here. I still think this is the high time frame draw. The question is, are we just going to go up or do we get a dip and then we go up? So similar to Bitcoin, right? It's a waiting game. It's a patience game here. So the weekly right now, I would argue, or no, the weekly is very much bullish, but we're kind of, you know, failing at the high. So ideally, pull back first. That would be my ideal situation. Same thing with silver, right? We're too much drawings, fresh drawings coming. Same thing with silver, right? Big weekly up leg. I have a hard time longing here based on the weekly. I'd like to see a pullback. Tesla. So how did I get into these two trades? Everything that I've shown you guys for Bitcoin and crypto, right here, I'm going to set my alert while we're at it here, just in case. Set one there. Set one here. And I will set one down here. Lakers game tonight, so I might not be on screen, but I'm going to want to see this shit. Okay. The fuck was I saying? Tesla. So the same shit that I share with you guys about Bitcoin shit, it works in other markets. So what was this trade? The first trade was, hey, we have a weekly bullish order block here and a weekly swing low. We had a weekly bullish SFP into that order block and price is down 75% from all-time high. So I'm like, this seems like a very good long opportunity. Go to the low time frame. Right? It's a little messier because it's a stock chart, but you have your low, lower low, higher low. That same fractal, right? A little bit messier here, but it's right there. And it's the context, right? Weekly demand, weekly SFP, 12 hours giving you a buy signal. So I went ahead and bought a bunch of calls. And I was like, this thing's due for a dead cat bounce, right? Target was here at 200. Basically 100% move. Absolutely smashed. Then what did I see? Said, okay, we played this thing on the way up. Where did it trade up into? Right? It traded right up into this weekly order block here. And then had a big push to the downside. So I said, okay, let's see if this is going to sell off now. Weekly bearish order block. The exact inverse of this is this. So if this is the long, right? What is the short? The inverse. Here's the long, here's the short. It's the exact same pattern. Just where it's turning up and why and all that kind of shit. Move above, move below. I bought a bunch of puts. We saw a very nice sell-off here. We've broken 12-hour market structure here. And we broke 12-hour market structure here on Friday, or on Thursday, excuse me, below this low. So this looks good to sell off further. Perhaps we fill in some of this gap. Right? But I've already peeled off a bunch, taken a bunch of profit on my positions. But everything that I've done on crypto and what I share with you guys on the dollar and ES, etc., it works on stocks too. It works on Forex pairs, commodities. You could do it on oil. Stocks are just not going to be as clean because there's going to be gaps for when the market is open and closed. It can gap up, it can gap down. So you get some kind of wonky looking candles. But when you know what you're looking for, right, it's way easier. It becomes easier to spot it everywhere, right? Like once you start knowing what the patterns are and where to look for them, you'll see it everywhere that you go. Do you do some research on alt? If so, you can give us some tips. No, I do not. Was ETH inducement of the monthly open, then sweep on the H12? God, you sound like ICT. I don't fucking know, bro. Why'd you make me open that? I didn't want to see this. That doesn't look good. We got 6 days left. 6 days left in this month to fix that candle up. My poor monitor, I keep spitting on it. Whoever told me to look at F on the monthly, this is your fault. Now we all have to see this. Okay, so Tesla covered. Bitcoin, dollar, Ethereum all covered. Basically, let's wait and see is kind of the plan right now. And I know that's not the most exciting thing, but that's my plan. I'm literally showing you exactly the levels that I'm paying attention to. Those 3 levels. That's where I'm paying attention to. So you do whatever you want. You can take 100 trades in between these levels. I'm going to be patient. Okay, let's quickly review some alts and then I'll wrap up the video here. I'll take a quick look at the chat. Burkon, you get 1 question, bro. You don't get 2 super in-depth questions. Mayne, how can we scale up our account faster? I know your potential answer is risk management, but looking for a more sophisticated one. Jesus Christ, bro. Pay me. What the fuck do you think this is? Doesn't this crypto sell-off seem a bit exaggerated compared to the DXY and Stonks? A little bit, yeah. I'm at the beginning of trading, spending 12 hours a day in front of the chart and learning. From your experience, would you recommend more of a work-life balance? Listen, you got to put the hours in, right? I don't know any successful trader who wasn't grinding the shit out of it, especially early on. But, you know, make sure you're eating healthy. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, exercise, because you will trade worse. You will perform worse if you're not sleeping enough, if you're not getting exercise, that kind of shit. That's just as important. Is Trading Pro worth it for the 12-hour chart? No, you don't need just to get the 12-hour chart. Not worth it at all. But I do a lot of things that require TradingView Pro, and this is what I do for a job, so I'm willing to spend money on it. But you do not need this. You can use the daily. It's totally fine. See you, Jason. Okay. Let's look at some altcoins here. So Solana, like a lot of altcoins do look like Ethereum, right? But arguably even worse. Didn't even come close to August high, right? August high on Solana's here. That's an ugly candle, but you know, this is my range on Solana on the weekly. The 12-hour, let's see here, I would say is in an interesting spot, right? We're in the lower part of this 12-hour range. There's demand over here. Is that an SFP? I think so. So this is definitely an area to pay attention to on Solana. If we get a bounce on Bitcoin, right? I think that, you know, kind of this entire down move, this is an area where absolutely there could be a reason to try and formulate a long. If Bitcoin plays ball, right? If Bitcoin plays ball. Right? Go down to the hourly. I mean, the break is way up here. Kind of tough. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely an interesting area. I think Bitcoin is going to dictate alts here for the next little bit, but this is definitely in the lower part of this 12-hour range. So if we're going to long, this is where you want to potentially look for it. I'm not just going to long, but if Bitcoin looks good, etc., this could be one to watch. It's in a good spot. That trade seemed to have gone well. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, excuse me. You should load your high. Weekly is just not enough there really to form a bias yet. Apt. Did we run that low? I think we did. So we ran this low. This is a big down leg. You know, I wouldn't short here personally. I would wait for a breakdown and a retest to short. I would much rather see if this gets any sort of a bounce. But this is a bearish leg. This is very similar to Ethereum, right? This looks like Ethereum. Bounce and then potentially lower. Looks similar to Ethereum to me, right? Big down leg, bounce, and then potentially lower. But like if I'm looking at which one of these is a better potential long, I think if the market holds up and everything's going to go up, I think Solana looks like it's in a better place for a long than Apt. But again, this is a bearish range while Solana is in a bullish range, right? But they're both near the bottom. So my expectation is a move towards the mid-range and higher as opposed to just continuing down. We ran the range low. We ran this low. So again, another interesting one to keep an eye on. OP had a crazy run. Like I would way rather long this and this and this and this than Link. Because look at all of this. None of these coins here, Solana does, sorry, LTC does. But that one, no, that one, no. So the ones with the lines through it, they look like this. They have overhead supply. Right? So there are people who own Link from $40 down to $30 to $20. It's at $7 right now. Is there not a good chance that at any point where this starts to even look remotely bullish that they try and sell to get out closer to break even? I would much rather, if I'm going to buy altcoins, buy new coins, new narratives. Maybe it's AI. I don't know what the narratives are going to be for this next bull run. I feel like AI is probably a pretty good bet. maybe it's AI, whatever it is, there's no overhead supply of old bag holders. Link came out years ago. Have they accomplished anything that they said they were going to do? Most of these coins will never do anything. Okay, that's what you got to remember. Most of these coins will never do anything. And just because it went up in the past does not mean it's going to go up again. And that's why you find coins like Link, LTC, right? Yeah, it had a crazy run up, right? But there's a good chance that it is never going to see this all-time high again. Right? Like Litecoin, crazy run up, didn't make a new all-time high. Yeah, this was a good run up, but dude, this move underperformed all the new shit. All the new coins outperformed the old coins. Go look at what the top coins were in 2017, okay? And see how they did in 2020 versus the new coins. Go look at the top coins in 2013 and see how they did relative to the new coins in 2017, right? So betting on the old bags rarely works, right? Outside of Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's very rare that these old coins make new all-time highs again. They just become, what are some of these old shit coins? What are some of the Dino coins? Ethereum Classic. Right? Like, is this ever going to go to 180 bucks again? What are some other Dino coins, guys? Let me know. XRP is pretty fucking old at this point. Like, is XRP ever going to go higher than $3? I don't know. Doesn't mean you can't make money trading it, right? But if I'm trying to buy a bag that I think could go crazy, I would much rather buy something that doesn't have all this. This chart could be, we have no idea. But if you have this preceding this, right? Well, now you know that there are bag holders from higher who are looking to sell. All right, Dash. Yeah, look at Dash. Great example. So look, last bull run, this thing went up 600%. A 6x is no joke. That's a lot of money. But it came nowhere near what it did in 2017. And if you long Dash at the absolute low last cycle, so you longed it at the pico low of COVID and you sold it at the pico top, you did 1,300%. You underperformed Bitcoin. Right? If you bought Bitcoin at the same time, fucking stupid charts. If you bought Bitcoin at the same time, the pico low of COVID, and sold it at the pico top, Dash, an altcoin, underperformed Bitcoin. What did Link do? Here's the pico low. So Link outperformed Bitcoin. But did it outperform Ethereum? So 3,300%? No. It got smoked by Ethereum. So this is what I'm saying, right? Like, these old coins, it's very unlikely that they outperform new shit. I'm not saying don't long old coins, but be prepared to underperform the new random shit that comes out. Be prepared for that. Be prepared that many of these coins might never see all-time highs again. Someone said, oh, well, maybe everyone capitulated. The Link community, go make fun of the Link Marines on Twitter. See what happens. Go make fun of XRP fanboys on Twitter. See what happens. The community is still there. And many of those people, in my opinion, are there not by choice. They're there because they bought way higher and they need to hold on and grasp on to some hope that they might be able to get out close to their entry or maybe even make some money, God willing. Right? That's what I think. I've been around this game long enough, dude. I've seen all of these coins fucking come through and leave and never heard from again. The top 10 of last cycle will not be the top same as the top 10 of this cycle. Okay? There's gonna be new shit, new promises that they're never gonna keep, right? Remember, most of these coins do nothing. That's why, like, you know, someone's like, oh, Tesla's a shit coin. The people are making fun of crypto, but Tesla's down 75%. Tesla still makes fucking cars. Like, Tesla makes money. Your shitcoin likely does nothing and never will. Okay? So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to shit on, you know, your bags. I'm just saying, think logically. Is there a better place your money could be parked? That's for you to decide. Dash has a halving narrative. Okay, but like, is Dash ever going to go back to... I would be probably willing to bet Dash never goes back to $1,600 ever. Regardless of what comes out. Like, barring some country saying Dash is the national currency. And even then, what is that? 3,000% all-time high? It ain't happening, chief. Do you like Alex Becker? I don't know who that is. So I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass and tell you that your altcoin is going back to all-time high or whatever. I'm telling you to think logically and realize that the two main resources you have in this game are your time and money. You need to have money to play the game, right? Don't get caught up locking your money up in some bullshit that you're down 90% on and be so stubborn that you can't be like, okay, maybe this was just a bad investment and it didn't work out and maybe my money's better off elsewhere. Because most of those 2017 altcoins underperformed Bitcoin and definitely underperformed Ethereum. Okay? And Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of those other altcoins underperformed Solana and the other DeFi coins and new narrative coins that came out last cycle. So, just, you know, I have no problem with maximalism, right? Like, if you want to be a maxi for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for Link, I don't give a shit. I'm sure you have your reasoning, but just don't be blinded by your bias that it has to go up, because it does not have to. None of those coins that ran last cycle or the cycle before ever have to make all-time high again. And 99% of them will not. Doesn't mean they won't go up. Doesn't mean money can't be made from trading them. Doesn't mean you might be able to buy it low and sell it higher. But new shiny toys, in my opinion. So people always asking about, what do I think about altcoins? What altcoins should I buy? Find the new narratives. Find the new shit. I think you have a much better chance of making money on those than you do trying to hope that some previous cycle coin is going to outperform new cycle coins. It doesn't mean that they're going anywhere, right? They could still have massive market caps. They can still do tons of volume. But in terms of like getting back to the prices they were at previously, there's a chance they might never. Someone's asking about Doge, right? So Doge, correct me if I'm wrong, Doge legitimately has infinite supply. Like, can't they just make more? So like, yeah, Doge went insane. But what's the likelihood that Doge ever goes back to 70 cents? Right? Like, I don't know. You think it ever gets that high again? I have no idea. Sheeb went insane. Right? But is Sheeb ever going back to whatever this is? I don't know. But it could do this. And look like a whole bunch of other alts, right? That are a few cycles old. But is it going to replicate this? I don't know. What does it do? Does it do anything? Right? You know how much money it would take to move it back up? Does the daily open ever get consideration in your analysis? Absolutely. I have an entire strategy, which I've talked about in previous videos, surrounding the daily open, right? So if my bias for the week or the day is bullish, If I mark out the daily open and we start trading below it and then reclaim, guess what? I'm long. Because I think the daily candle, I think I want to long the wick around the daily open, right? Because if I think the candle's going to close like this, I want to get long down here. So yeah, absolutely. Daily open's a great tool. And that strategy that I just explained applies for all of them, right? So if you're trading the monthly chart and you think the next monthly candle is a red candle, you want to sell as close to or above the monthly open as possible, right? Okay, then are we at a point right now to call this a new cycle or not? I have no fucking idea. I don't believe that this is a new cycle yet, right? But before it becomes a cycle, like, yeah, this was a new cycle. When was this a new cycle? Was it here? Was it here? I don't know. Who decides? When was this a new cycle? When it made a new all-time high, or was it a new cycle down here? But I don't believe that retail money is necessarily back in the space right now. None of my friends that I know who were into crypto during the bull run were messaging me about Pepe coin. Seems to be like the same amount of money from the same sources, just kind of trading hands and moving around to different spots, as opposed to fresh capital being injected in the system. You got to remember, right? The mania that happened for this to happen, right? The government was just printing money and giving it to people during COVID, right? Like, so much shit happened. All right. So I think this is a good video, a good place to end. We're an hour and a half now, so it's getting a little long in the tooth. I see some of you commenting about market structure video. I need to stop recording this video so I can start working on that. I'm really hoping to get it done this week. No promises, but we've got about half of it done and edited. I just need to flesh out a few bits, but it is coming. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. As always, if you want to support me, if you like the videos, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, interact with my shit. That's going to be the best way to support me outside of using any of my affiliate links, which you can find on my website, tradermayne.com. PrimeXBT are the sponsors of this stream. Link is in the description of this video. Click it, make an account, throw some money on there, trade with me. That's a great way to support me. All right, guys. So appreciate it very much. I will be back with another video. Hopefully the market structure video this week, but I'll probably do a second stream this week because I'm home. I've been home for a while, so I'm able to do multiple streams a week. But yeah, we've got our alerts set. We've got our scenarios mapped. Now we wait. Now we implement patience. All right, guys. So thanks so much for tuning in. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all.